So you feel you can understand Spanish better than you can speak it. This is such a common experience for many language learners. In short, it is about a relationship between input and output. I'm Lucia, Spanish teacher, translator, and polyglot. And I want to unpack this input and output relationship because it is going to change the way you learn a language. Japanese psychiatrist Dr. Kawasawa is arguably a leading mind in the input and output sphere. And they introduced a ratio for learning anything, and that ratio is 3 to 7. 3 input to 7 output. Now, input refers to the various information that we put into the brain, while output refers to how we actively use the information. So within this ratio, output should contribute for over double of input consumed. Now, this ratio is for learning anything, but language learning fits so effortlessly into this model. Within language learning, we have our input, listening and reading, and then we have our output, speaking and writing. And the process of efficient language learning, or arguably any learning, is taking that input and converting it into some related output. This is a really important concept to understand for language learning. I want you to think of language learning like trying to bake a cake. Input, things like listening and reading, are the ingredients. They give you the raw materials you need, vocabulary, grammar, context, etc. But then we need to put these ingredients through a process where we do something with them. The output. We combine them and bake them, converting these raw ingredients into a cake or into our goal of Spanish fluency. Without the output, the action of baking in this example, you will never get the finished cake. It is a very common issue that I see with many learners, and myself included. We're often skewed towards a greater amount of input to output. In fact, I hear so many times within the language learning community, consume as much comprehensible input as possible. And it's not bad advice, but it is not complete advice. Our education systems are also often designed around an input-biased approach. We're giving reams and reams of information through instruction, textbooks, and things like that. And another reason for this skew is that, well, input is much easier to do. It's so much easier just to consume information, to listen to music or a podcast, to read an article in Spanish. Output is harder. That's why we tend to avoid it. It's uncomfortable, it feels like we're making mistakes, and it takes more effort than just listening or reading. Input is almost passive. At times, it is completely passive. You can sit back and let the information wash over you. But in order to learn, the output is integral, fundamental. You may read all the information on how to ride a bike. You may watch countless YouTube videos, sit down in the park constructing a thesis on the perfect pedal ratio, but until you get on that bike, you're not going to learn. And that's why I'm passionate about this topic, because language learning encourages you to get on that bike in so many ways. It asks of you to put yourself out there and make mistakes, to perform outside of your comfort zone. And it is beyond our comfort zone where real growth occurs, not just in language learning, but it is true for life as well. So what's the solution? Well, yes, it is obvious that you need to increase the amount of output. You need to speak more. But you already knew that, I think. The real take-home message is that if you're finding yourself in a position where you can comprehend more than you can speak, then you've probably slipped into a more input-heavy approach. And you should reevaluate your learning habits. You should flip the script and begin a more output-biased approach. And I guarantee you that you will see improvements. Muy bien, aventureros. If you feel you've learned something from this video, give it a like. And if you want me to be your travel companion through the Spanish language, then subscribe. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.